welcome everybody back to the Underground Gospel Show. This is episode number 63. We have been doing this since March of 2021. I'm sorry, March of 2021. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking there. I have a bunch of upload videos. I did a bunch of stuff in 2019. We uploaded a bunch of videos throughout the summer of 2020. And we were going to come back into the studio in 2020 and everything was shut down. So I couldn't come in the studio. So I started live streaming since I couldn't record. No, just a minute ago. It's kind of really funny. Welcome. My name's Nat. I'll get to the housekeeping in just a second. But in just a second ago, I was like rolling around. I was running over cables, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've spent most of my life being a live performer. So I'm very what's the word? Cognitive of cable management. There should be a lot of cables on a stage. That should be run properly and downstage and upstage. And a little story here. In the old days, stages used to be built at an incline. That's why we call downstage towards the audience, because the audience would be on a flat plane and you would tilt the stage. So downstage was towards the audience and upstage was away from the audience. Anyway, but cable management is everything runs downstage or upstage, so the center is clear. Well, I'm sitting down my chairs and I'm trying to roll and I'm running into cables. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like a recording studio. And then I looked around and went, oh yeah, I'm in the recording studio. So that's why we have cables all over the floor. And it's pretty much a snake nest. Anyway, welcome to the Underground Gospel Show. Like I said, this is episode 63. This is a safe place. It's a place where you can post whatever you want to. We multi-stream on Twitch, in Facebook Live, and on YouTube. I know that YouTube, it's going to last forever, or unless they kick it off, because the thing with YouTube is I'm building my castle on somebody else's land. Let's just put it that way. So anyway, but we're also we're on Twitch, so I know that I get a Twitch report every single week. So thank you, people who are watching me on Twitch. We're every Friday and Saturday night at 8 o'clock. And the reason why is because, when I typically have toured my entire life, you do Fridays and Saturday nights. I mean, there's so many Saturdays a year you can actually play. This is typically not a Saturday night you do gigs, because this is Labor Day, and most people are back home and they're with family, and there's not really a lot of Labor Day gigs, believe it or not. It's not a big touring night. It's a big night to be with your family, though. So I hope you're with your family. I hope you guys are all cuddled around your little screens. Sorry, and you're watching this video. So thank you for watching it. I hope I didn't make you just yawn. I might have just done that, though, so I'm sorry. Oh, goodness. Tonight's show is actually one that's kind of topical right now. We're talking about Hezbollah, which is a Muslim group, and the Taliban, which is a terrorist group, and Muslims, and which is a religion. Three completely different things, just to let you know. And so it's brought to you by Genesis 17, which is the story of Abram. Abram was given the new name Abraham. When God interacts with you, you're kind of given a new name. I was given a new name too, and in a later show, I might tell you about that. I probably will, because, I talk about me a lot. But Abram was actually given a new name, and it was called Abraham. And he was told in Genesis 17, I believe it was 3 and 4, that I will make you the father of many nations. Now, Abraham is known to be the father of the Jews. He is also known to be the father of the Muslims. There's a lot of people that now Muslims and Jews, a lot of people think start at the same time. That's not exactly true. The He had a handmaiden and a wife, and if you're of one descendant, you think that his wife was Sarah, and if you're from another descendant, you think that his wife, oh my gosh, and the name will come to me in just a second. It just escaped me, so I'm sorry. And I'm going to get a lot of comments about that. So thank you for all your comments. I do appreciate them, and yeah, keep them coming. But needless to say, oh my goodness, I can't believe I just read the chapter. Needless to say, so one group of people believe that, well, and here's the bottom line. They all believe, all people believe that they came from the true wife, and they believe the other side came from the handmaiden. Okay, so it depends on which side you're on. Maybe they were both wives. I mean, I don't know that at that time that we had a mono type of marriage. We might have. And I don't know who actually married them. Was there actually a wedding? Kind of interesting. Or did he just say, okay, you my wife, and grab her by the hair? I don't know. Doesn't really get into that a whole lot. Needless to say, they both had children. In his, like, he was old, like over 100 when he bore children. Okay, and so all this stuff about taking him up and taking Isaac up and sacrificing him and all this. I mean, he was an old guy. He was me plus like 50, 60. I mean, he was double my age. So that's kind of getting up there. Needless to say, he there are two groups of thoughts. Now, the Jews, or the Israelites, that because he had a child named Isaac, and Isaac had, needless to say, they became the Israelites. His other child became a group, everybody else in the region at the time. Then they, in, oh, well, I guess zero, Jesus was born, and then he died at 33, or depending on how that. It's really funny. I've always wondered about that because you have BC, which is before Christ, and AD, which is after death. Actually, those both of the words came from a Roman thing, but we've bastardized them in English, so it's before death, or before Christ and after death. So like that 33 years don't really have numbers, I guess. Um, so go ahead and send me the comments on that. Fact check it and send away, guys. Needless to say that, man, I'm screwing up the Bible just terribly here. I guess I should have it in front of me. I know Ishmael was one of the sons, and Isaac was the other one. So thank you, Brain, for bringing that in. My brain's acting as the moderator right now, so thank you for sending me messages. Needless to say, so I'm trying not to say the word or because he actually went to which is a fun town if you ever get a chance to get out there. He went to he said he would be the father of nations. So we have the Jewish nation, we have the Jewish nation, which then became had put some of the people from the Jewish nation and some of the people from the other nations became Christians. So you have the Christian nations. Oh gosh. And then from there, you about 600 AD is when Muhammad came and started the Muslims. So the Muslims religion didn't actually start till about 680 AD, somewhere around there. So the Christian religion was well established. It became a dominant religion of the times, and then you had Muslims, which started in opposition of Christianity. But since they were descendant of the people who were from Abraham, they've had issues with the Jews. Won't get into all that. That's not the whole purpose of this. I have a friend. Now that we're kind of putting a comma on that and moving on to a different thing, who's from Afghanistan, and he was able to get out of Afghanistan and became an American citizen. His name's Muhammad, believe it or not, and we're friends at the place where I do my day job. So the other day he comes up and he says, "Man, would you pray for me?" And I'm like, "I don't know how to pray. I mean, I speak Arabic, but I don't know how to pray in Arabic. I don't know any Muslim prayers." He goes, "Well, would you pray for me in your way?" And I said, "Of course I will." And I said, "Well, why?" He goes, "Well, because my family are still in Kabul, and uh, the Taliban has taken over the capital of Afghanistan, and I'm afraid my family will be murdered." I said, "Well, aren't your family Muslim?" And he looked at me and he goes, "You do understand that the Taliban are as much Muslim as MS-13 are Catholics." And it just hit me like, oh yeah, MS-13s from South America. They're a gang, and they're bloodthirsty murderers. I think I told you in an earlier episode about us doing a show in a town where the right cartel hadn't been paid off. And so they took 40 people out, men, women, and children, just grabbed them out of their homes and cut their heads off. I mean, didn't even, I mean, it had nothing to do with the show whatsoever. These were just people that lived in the town of where we were doing the show. And that's what the Taliban are like. Okay, they will just kill people because they're bloodthirsty. I mean, they're just wrong. They're a gang. They're thugs. I mean, that's what they are. You know, and um, maybe this is why I'm doing the underground gospel shows, because I can say this stuff and stay underground, because that's what they are. They're thugs. Now, Hezbollah, I'll get into that in just a second. But Hezbollah is another organization. They're a terrorist organization, but their sole purpose of now the Taliban, their sole purpose is to wipe out everybody but Taliban. Okay, so if you're Muslim, you're still going to get murdered as long as you're not Taliban. It's kind of like Nazis. You've got to be one of them. If you're not one of them, you're against them and you're an infidel and you die. It's very simple, very black and white. These are really sick, sick people. The other side is Hezbollah, and Hezbollah has a major belief, and a lot of Muslims follow Hezbollah as being a support organization. But Hezbollah's major purpose is the extermination of all the Israelites on the planet, all the Jews on the planet. They want to kill all the Jews. So they're once again, they're not trying to kill everybody. They just want to kill all the Jews. And then you have Muslims who are neither Hezbollah or Taliban. But between you and me, I've always, people who are not Taliban or not another sect agree with the teachings in Hezbollah. Okay, so they believe that the Jewish people need basically to become Muslim or to die. And I'm like, dude, seriously. And I've talked to my friends about this, and they don't like the Jews. They just don't like them. They don't, you know. And I am going to tell you a story in a minute about another friend of mine who is or he not really a friend. He's a person that I met one time at a Bible study, believe it or not, at ASCAP. ASCAP is the American Society of Composers and Publishers, and it's my PRO. It's where it's one of the people that send me money quarterly because of songs that I've written and songs that I've adapted and things like that. It's not the digital rights; um, it's all the publishing rights more than anything else. And so I do get a check, from them occasionally. Needless to say, I was at ASCAP. When I first came to Nashville, they had a Bible study at noon on Wednesdays. And so I'm sorry, it was on Tuesdays, but I would go Tuesday at noon and go to this Bible study. And we would have this, Bible study, and they brought in this gentleman who was the assistant to the prime minister of Israel. And so he had a chance to speak to us for an hour, and it was really enlightening. I'll tell you some interesting things that he said when we come back. Needless to say, I'm going to do a couple of songs right now. And I think I mentioned the fact that, well, I guess you probably see this thing that I'm holding. It's a guitar, and I play music. I never really got into my housekeeping things. And so I'm sorry about that. Um, but what I wanted to say was, and I probably lost a lot of people on that pause. What I wanted to say was that Genesis 17, Abraham was talking to the Lord, and he fell on his face, and the Lord said that I will make you the father of many nations. And that is exactly what has happened. So if the Lord is speaking to you, and this is why I'm an instrumental player, and I'm sorry, I'm bouncing all over the place. I don't sing. So if this is your first time of tuning in, you're going to hear me play some songs. Probably, if you know the song, butcher them a little bit because I'm in the middle of a big transitionary period and I don't have the practice time that I really, really feel I need. And it's my fault. And I totally take 100% responsibility for sucking, but I suck right now, in my opinion. Um, but anyway, I'm going to do a couple songs. And this first song is called I See the Lord. Now, if you're tuning in 2022 and above, it's on my website, on my website. I see the Lord. If you're watching this live right now as it's being done, yeah, it's not there yet. The rest of the songs today are on the website, so that's cool. But this one song isn't. It's called I See the Lord. And oh my goodness, I last week I had the names and I had the authors and the dates and all that stuff up, and I don't have any of that today. So what I'm just going to do is play the song. So I hope you enjoy it. Remember that whole sucking part? There it was. Yes, I see the Lord seated on the throne. And I'm pretty sure that what Abraham did was fall on his face and just say, Lord, you're so holy. So I'm going to do a song right now called Holy, Holy, Holy is the Lord God Almighty. So at ASCAP, we met a gentleman who was the assistant to the prime minister of Israel. And this was back, I want to say 2005, 2006, sometime around there. And this guy did not like Muslims. I mean, you always hear about how the Muslims hate um, the Jews. Well, this guy did not like Muslims at all. In fact, he mentions one thing. They asked, why were you at a Bible study for Christians? And he said, look, he goes, I believe, like you do, that the Messiah is coming. I really do. I believe the Messiah is coming. You believe he's already come. I'm going to ask him one question. When you come, have you actually been here before? And he goes, that's my question for him. Now, I guess he's being tried or cute. And I think a lot of people are wondering, well, Jesus, our Messiah, were you here once before? Were you actually in Hebrew called in the Middle East it's called Yeshua. And so Yeshua is the name which we get Joshua from, but Yeshua was the name of Jesus in the Middle East. So he's going to say, Yeshua, are you Yeshua? Are you the one that they call Jesus? And I believe he's going to say, oh, duh, why didn't you believe me all this time? And anyway, we're not even going to get into that. It's not like it's a secret. If you haven't heard about Jesus, I'm sorry. We have proclaimed him pretty well to the four corners of the globe. He's on TV channels. He's on YouTube channels. 170 something countries can see this right now. 110 countries can see this. 170 countries can see the broadcast channels. And there's missionaries on every part of the globe. I I'm sure there's people down teaching penguins about Jesus because he's been taught on all four corners of the earth at this time. Um, but after having that meeting, I thought, man, I want to find out some information about the Muslims. So that's when I went to the library and I got a tape series. I believe there was 6 90-minute videotapes. See that face? On the history of the Muslims. And I'm not saying that I don't like the Muslim religion because here's the deal. It started, like I said, um, hundreds of years after Christianity. But the artwork and the intricacies and the beauty and the geometric form and the buildings that they did, their mosques, their temples, are amazing. It's way beyond. I mean, way beyond. It's extra. It's a lot extra. But as they were talking about the fact that they they invented higher mathematics, and I've always been kind of a math person. I'm like, wait a minute, what? And they said that before this one guy by the name of Ben El Jabra, um, he was the one that decided that you could have less than one. He created fractions as we know them today because it used to be that you had an apple, you cut it in half, and now you have two halves of an apple. Okay, I mean, or you have two pieces of apple. It wasn't that you had a half of an apple because it's no longer an apple. It's now a whole half an apple. And so but he said, no, it's not. It's actually zero point 0.5 of an apple. It's a half of an apple. And you cut it again, it's 0.25 of an apple. And he created fractions as we know them, which then created a whole series of mathematics, which we named after him, and we call it algebra. His name was Ben Algebra. And so now we have algebra, which came from Ben Algebra. And as soon as I heard that, I'm like, that's why they hate the Muslims because nobody likes algebra. I mean, every high school student on the planet hates algebra. And it's just like, sorry, but they named the whole science of numerology after our numbers, higher mathematics, after this one guy who happened to be a Muslim. And so now we have the whole planet not liking Muslims, and they don't like the fact we don't like them, so they create these organizations that want to kill us. Yeah, that's so simplistic, but kind of, I think, the truth. So you've turned into the underground gospel show, so you could find out how we got algebra. Very good. Anyway, so I'm going to play another song here. We're going to cut out this night. I think it's going to get done kind of early. And that because that's kind of all I had as far as the whole Taliban and Hezbollah. And I know people are trending and searching and trying to find this out in Muslims. And I have some great friends that are Muslim, and they pray differently than I do. I probably should tell you this story too. I was in Africa on a trip. Gosh, I think it was like 8 years ago now. And the driver was taking us back to the guest house, and we got to a certain point, and he stopped, and he was just like, we cannot turn down the road. Now, I had been down the road, like 30 times, so I knew where I was. And I'm like, dude, we're like a half a mile from here. He goes, yeah, we have to go around to the other side. I'm like, that's miles. He goes, yeah, it's about 15 miles. I'm like, no, just make a left. He goes, I can't. I'm like, why can't you? He goes, there's witchcraft. Excuse me? He goes, there's witchcraft on the road. They have put witchcraft on the road. And he points to the road, and the best I can tell you guys, it was some chicken bones. It was like somebody threw the KFC out the window. Well, maybe not KFC, it was Africa, but you get the idea. It was just somebody had thrown their garbage out of the window. It landed in the middle of the street. He sees the chicken bones and goes, it's witchcraft. I'm like, we can get. He goes, no, I can't go over that. I'm like, okay, hold on. He goes, what are you doing? And I got out of the Land Cruiser, walked around, kicked it out, went to get back in. He locks the doors. He goes, you can't get in the van. I'm like, why can't I get in the car? He goes, because you touched the witchcraft. I'm like, okay, I'm a missionary. You're a Christian. We shouldn't be, depending on lives upon witchcraft. I understand witchcraft's out there. I'm going to do a whole show on that, come real close to Halloween, because I've had a lot of experience with demons and with witchcraft and with, satanic forces. So I'm going to be doing a show on that also. Um, but I was just like, really? I mean, come on. And so I said, okay, whatever. It's a half a mile. I'll walk. You can't walk. Why can't I walk? Okay, I can't get in the van and I can't walk. Why not? He goes, that's Muslims. They will kill you. I'm like, um, no, they won't kill me. I speak Arabic. He goes, they don't speak Arabic. They pray in Arabic. They don't speak Arabic. He goes, okay. And he told Mike, one of the kids, get out and walk with him. I'm like, so you're sacrificing one of the kids to walk with me? And, the kid was scared to death because it's like, dude, we don't walk through this community. Now, I got to tell you something. The Muslims, and I was in Uganda, and the Muslims and the Christians have this, they sometimes get very violent and blow each other up, but they also have like this peaceable war that I think is really, really funny, because what happens is the Christians will celebrate and will worship till like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. The Muslims wake up at sunrise and do their prayers at the beginning of the day. So they have 5 times during the day to pray. So they're praying during the mornings, and so nobody in the country sleeps. I mean, one group is up till, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, praising and worshiping God with amplifiers and drums and, just praising the Lord. The other group is waking up before the sunrise and doing all their prayers and meditations. And so they fight. So and they all kind of like point the prayers towards each other and keep each other awake all the time. So they never sleep. And so they're always fighting with each other and they're mad. Anyway, I'm going to do a song now. This song is A Mighty Fortress is Our God. It was written by Martin Luther about 500 years ago in the early 500s, 520, I guess, in the 6th century. Or 6th century, 500 AD. How would that be? Through the 20th century, that would be, yeah, like the 6th century. So anyway, yeah, that's what it was. It was 6th century. So 20, about 508, 520 AD is when he wrote this song. Still played in the churches today. The lyrics are on. Do I have the thing even running? Night.com. Yeah, it's running. So anyway, I hope you enjoy it. Yes, a mighty fortress is our God. So anyway, let me double check what's going on here. Oh, if you want to, please help us out by joining our Patreon group. Now, we have something really special. If you've stayed this long, God bless you. A special reward and portion of love and blessing being poured out to you for staying this long. But we have a special thing going on Patreon. You can sponsor a language as far as the translations of our songs so that they can go out there and reach the world. Also, we have something very special being announced in the next couple of weeks. We're kind of working on it right now. We're about 4 weeks away from cementing the plans and about 6 weeks away from launching it. So that's about the middle of October. Anyway, we got some great things happening, and we thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any comments, if you have anything at all, you can send it to Guitar for Jesus at musician.org. I have like really the coolest email ever. Guitar for Jesus at musician.org. It just doesn't get better than that, except it does because Jesus, there's no ending to his blessings. So anyway, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week. We will see you next week here on the Underground Gospel Show. And thank you for tuning in. Like I said, I'll see you. We're here every Friday and Saturday night, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye. Uh oh. No, bye bye.